The first question that we are going to solve is number 1, twosome in LeetCode. So given an array of integers, nums, and an integer target, return index of the two numbers such that they add up to target. You may assume that each input will have exactly one solution, and you may not use the same element twice. You can return the answer in any order. So the first example, input is 2, 7, 11, and 15, and the target is 9. And the output is 0 and 1 because nums of 0, which is 2, and the nums of 1, which is 7, equals to 19. So we return 0 and 1. So we basically does not return the element itself, but we return the index. The second example, nums is 3 to 4, the target is 6. The output is 1 and 2, which is 2 and 4 equals 6. We cannot use 3 twice because you may not use the same element twice. The last example, nums is 3 and 3, target is 6. Output is 0 and 1 because we use each of them once. So how we're going to solve this is the first thing we can think of is a brute force algorithm. Brute force. And so how we're going to do this is 2, 7, 11, 15. Let's say target is 26 instead of 9. So we are going to look at this one, right? And then this one. So if we add these two, it's 9, right? So we look at next one. This is 13. This is 17. And then we will look at the next one. And then we don't look at these two, right? Because we already found 2 and 7. So we are going to look at these two, which is 18. Next one, 22. Then lastly, we look at these two, which is 26. So the brute force algorithm, assuming that the length of this array is n, and then so in that case the time complexity of this brute force is going to be O of n squared, right? Because we basically look at all of these, all of the next one, all of these, right? And this is the worst case, right? And to reduce the time complexity, we are going to use a hash map in Java. So using hash map. It's not a spelling hash map. So in this case, we again have 2, 7, 11, 15. Let's say the name of this array is nums. And then our target is going to be 26. So we will have an I here, right? This is going to loop. And then we have our index 0, 1, 2, 3. So the formula that we're going to use is target minus nums I. We look at target minus nums I. So in the first one, the target minus nums I is 2, right? Which is nums I is 2. Then if, well, first thing first, we make our map here. So here, if target minus nums I is not in the map, what is our target minus nums I, which is 24, right? So if this 24 is not in the map, we will put our nums I and then I in the map. So we're basically storing what we saw, nums I and then I. So what is our nums I? 2. And then our I is 0 right now. So we just see, we checked 2. So we're now gonna look at the next one, 7. And then if we subtract 7 from 26, from our target is 19. And check if 19 is in the map. Is 19 in the map? No, it's not in the map. But we only look at this part, which is the key. Anyway, 19 is not in the map, so we put nums I. And then I, which is 1. Then we move our I. It's 11 right now. So 15 and C. Is 15 in the map? No, it's not in the map, so we put our 11 nums I, and then I, which is 2. Last one. So we have checked all these and stored it here. These are the element and these are the index that corresponds to the element, right? Now we look at our last one, 15, and check if this difference is in the map. So is 11 in the map? Yes, it is, finally. So in that case, we found our 2 numbers that exist in this array that will sum up to the target, right? Because we have stored this data already here. For brute force, we use another pointer to go back and like see every single thing, but here, since we already stored in our map, we don't have to go back, but we can just check from here. So in this case, whenever this difference is in the map, we will just simply return, what do we return? Return this difference index. So index of this difference, which is 2, and then the index of this first nums, which is 3, right? So what we did is we return this index. So how do we return this index? We go to map and find its value, which is 2, and then we return the current I, which is 3. So now we are going to code this. How we are going to do that is, oh, I can't put, how did I do that? Anyway, so first thing first, what did we do? First, we made an empty map, right? So we are going to do that. Map integer map equals new hash map. And then what did we do after making a map? We looped through this nums array, right? But different from brute force, we used only one pointer and looped one time, right? So for int I equals 0, I equals nums length, I plus plus, and there were 2 conditions, right? So if something, and then we have else, right? So let's see the first one first. The first condition was whenever we did not have this difference in here, we put this, right? So we're gonna put this in this else place. What did we do? We put map, put nums I, and then I, right? We put this nums I and I in here whenever we did not have this difference in the map. But here, what happened in the second condition? Whenever we had this in the map, right? So what is this? This is target minus nums I. So whenever we had target minus nums I in where? Whenever we had this in the map. So how do we find that? We map contains key. If map contains key of this target minus nums I, what did we do? We return. But what did we return? We return this difference, the index of this difference, right? So first thing first, the difference. This is our difference, right? But how do we find the index of this difference? We get it by map, from map. So if we get map get target nums I, which is 11, it will return this value 2, which is the index of this 11, right? And then the next one is just simply I, so this is going to be I. And then how do they want us to return? They want us to return an int array. So new int, simply like this. And then if you run this, it will get an error, I think, because if the code comes here and then loop, then if it never goes through this condition, this if condition, it will never meet and return, and it will just end the code, right? But they want us to return in the int array, so we can just return -1, or just in case, we will throw illegal argument exception. Hopefully it works. It worked for our first case, and then let me submit. It worked. So instead of using brute force, we have reduced our time complexity into O of n by using a hash map. Thank you.